Hello, I'm Vanessa Funke, and this is an interview with Schaden Collective. As I already said, my name is Vanessa Funke. I make music. Fun fact, the reason I don't have a project name and release everything under my own name, I wasn't able to come up with anything fancy for a project name. It's as simple as that. So I just kept going with my own name. My music can be described as a mixture between melodic death metal and atmospheric black metal, with a bit of gothic metal, sometimes doom, funeral doom thrown into, basically that. Well, yes, I have a post-punk project, post-punk, new wave, something like that, called The Occasion. I do have a dungeon synth project called Candle Void. I also do some synth pop, Italo disco kind of stuff. Under the name Movement. I once played in a band called Storm Unleashed, a melodic death metal band. They still exist, you need to check them out. And I also appeared on several different artists' projects as guest vocalist, guest instrumentalist and everything. I love to do collaborations. I do have several different projects in the work right now that are not completed yet, so I won't talk about that. So be surprised when they finally get released. Inspiration can come in many different forms. One big influence on my music is nature, taking walks in nature, and I love to translate the images that I see in my head to music. That's a really nice word I use for it, called picture music, because when I go and record something, I always have these pictures in mind of maybe forest or something like that. Then another big influence is my own mental health, what I've been going through, what I'm still going through sometimes, because music is also my form of therapy, my main form of therapy basically. This is what helps me best, and so I have several things to talk about, very personal topics. More on that later on. Of course, I am influenced by different artists, of course. It would be a lie to say that I come up with all of this without any outside influence in music. Big influence is obviously Zombion, which was the first metal band that I really got into. They had a lasting impact. Another artist I really have to mention is Mike Oldfield, because he's the sole reason I started to learn guitar and keyboards and everything, trying to do everything myself, because I was so impressed by how he was able to craft albums almost on his own. It was really fascinating, and I wanted to do that myself. Yeah, that's how I ended up here. I am trans woman, so I have a history with dysphoria, of course, for so many years, actually. I mean, things have certainly changed for the better, definitely. But there were times when it was really, really hard, especially in my teenage years. wasn't able to transition yet. So that is one of these things that I sometimes talk about in my music. Lyrics, but more so in trying to convert my emotions that I obviously still remember into melodies and everything. And on my new album, these topics, really get that. Not only this topic of dysphoria, also depression and everything that has to do with who I am, basically, and how hard it was to get here. And I didn't want to make the story all about myself, so I hopefully kept it vague enough so that other people can find their own stories. Yeah, basically like that. The artwork was painted by Brian Colony. He is a painter who actually contacted me, told me that his music really meant a lot to him and helped him through a hard time in his life. And I actually don't remember how it really happened, but in the end we agreed on painting artwork for my album. It didn't have any lyrics then, or in demo form. I said in the demos and said, okay, listen to it and do whatever you feel. What you hear, try to convert that into a painting. And it turned out brilliantly. It was really so fitting. I myself see it as a metaphor. This album cover. Because there's this figure that's hanging from a tree, and I see it as the collection of everything bad, depression, dysphoria, and everything I talked about, hanging up there from the tree, and on the horizon there is basically a new dawn rising. That sounds... yeah, that sounds pretty funny if you say it like that, but yeah, it's basically that. It's a metaphor for overcoming the shit. That's basically it. A metaphor for overcoming everything bad. Basically, that's basically it. The first album I did, basically it's the very death kind of thing, you know, and after that I tried to get more influences from black metal and everything into it, and I recorded Void, which took longer than expected to mix it. So in the meantime I released the album Dawn, which is basically what my girlfriend did in the 70s on his first four albums. So that's yeah. So that's pretty much the odd one in there. So then Void was kind of released a year late, but anyhow, I think it makes the transition pretty smooth to his new album because it really features a lot of influence from Funeral Doom and black metal and everything, and the melodic death influence is really taken back here. Not as much present as it was on other releases of mine, definitely. Also, what is a very big difference to the other albums, this one has kind of a loose story. At least there's a red line going through the album, so I didn't have that before. More conceptual pieces. I do hope that this album actually helps others to show them that they are not alone with their feelings. I'm sure I'm not the only one who has experienced things that I talk about in this album, so I basically hope that benefits others too. Don't know it yet, at least not thematically, lyrics or anything, because I don't have these, but I do have the basic structure ready. I have recorded demos, so basically the album is complete musically, but where it will lead, I don't know, at least not now. Things will develop over the next few months. We'll see. I actually never thought about this. I think that me as a trans woman, so part of basically the queer community, you could say, representation, being out there, showing others, hey, your voice matters too. I'm not sure. Maybe something like that. Of course, this is a message that everyone can record their own music. Basically, I'm really not sure. I like to see more women represented, definitely. I think it's a bit better in the so-called underground than in the mainstream. But still, I think it really lacks representation of women and queer people too. Definitely. Especially those. Yeah. I hope to be part of this change. Yeah. I hope I won't get in trouble for this, but I actually don't mind it. Hopefully I will still be around. Regarding what is happening around the world right now, it's getting harder and harder to survive. I hope everything will, turn out fine enough that I still be here. I mean, it sounds pretty bitter, but if you look, if you look at politics right now and everything that is going on, the environment around the world is getting more and more hostile. It's all pretty bleak, but I hope to be still around. That's the only thing I can think of. Thanks for listening. This isn't something I take for granted, but people actually listen to my music. That's really, still really crazy to think of. So, thank you for listening. Next album So I'm probably going to work on that and try to re-record the songs, polish them up and everything, and write some lyrics. That's the hardest thing in the whole process. I'm not a good writer, so it takes a lot of time. So I better start as early as I can. So that's it for the moment. Support the underground, stay tuned to Schaden Collective, and thank you all for watching.